They called it a victory. It was the moment he lost the right to want anything. Bran Stark survived the fall. His body hit the stone, his legs went numb, and the world he expected, running, riding, climbing, ended without warning. What he learned was simple and brutal. Survival could arrive stripped of choice. He woke in Winterfell unable to move. Maester spoke gently, his family stood close, and his bed became a boundary he could not cross. What closed was the future he assumed was guaranteed, and what replaced it was patience forced by helplessness. Assassins came for him in the night. Steel reached for his throat while he lay trapped in furs, unable to flee or fight. He learned that immobility invited danger, and safety would never again be passive. His wolf stayed with him. Summer stood guard, teeth bared, killing to protect a boy who could not protect himself. Bran learned that power could exist without movement, and that power would cost someone else first. He began to dream. The dreams pulled him out of his body, carried him across the snow and into other skins. What he lost was privacy, and what formed was a new instinct. Escape did not require legs. Men told him to forget the dreams. Maesters warned him they were sickness. His mother feared them. The castle treated them as shame. Bran learned that survival meant secrecy, and secrecy meant separation. Winterfell fell. Ironborn took the castle, burned its symbols, and forced Bran to hide in crypts beneath the bones of dead kings. He learned that inheritance did not protect you, and that names could be hollow when walls were breached. He left his home behind. Hodor carried him through forests and ruins, every step a reminder of weight and dependence. Bran learned that movement now required another body, and every mile spent someone else's strength. They crossed the wall. Cold pressed in, the world thinned, and men vanished into snow without warning. Bran learned that knowledge demanded distance from warmth, and warmth was not guaranteed to return. The old man waited for him. Roots wrapped around stone. Ravens watched without blinking, and a voice offered answers instead of comfort. Bran lost the idea of growing up, and learned that growth could mean standing still forever. Training began without mercy. Visions flooded him, past lives, old wars, deaths he could not stop. He learned that seeing everything did not grant control, only awareness. He reached too far. In the vision, the enemy saw him back. Bran learned that knowledge could invite pursuit, and there were doors the mind should never open. Hodor broke. A command meant to protect shattered a simple man's life, trapping him in terror until death claimed him at a door meant to close. Bran learned that survival could be purchased with innocence, and the cost would echo without end. They escaped because someone else died. Mira dragged Bran through snow, blood marking every step, while help fell away behind them. He learned that dependence was not temporary, and gratitude did not undo damage. The cave was lost. Fire and ice met. Ancient safety burned, and the teacher who promised answers was left behind. Bran learned that guidance ends abruptly, and what remains is obligation. The visions deepened. He watched his father die again, his family suffer again, history repeat without intervention. Bran learned that omniscience did not soften pain, it sharpened it. When they reached men again, he no longer fit among them. Questions met silence, urgency met calm, fear met a boy who did not react. He learned that distance was now permanent, and return was no longer a goal. War ended around him. Kings fell, Armies broke, and the world looked for stability. Bran learned that stillness could appear like wisdom when everyone else was exhausted. They gathered to choose a ruler. Men argued over blood and claim, over who deserved what was left. Bran learned that wanting nothing looked like fairness to those who wanted everything. They named him king. The crown settled where desire had already been removed. Bran learned that power without hunger frightened no one, and that made it acceptable. He did not refuse. He accepted because refusal required preference, and preference had been burned out of him piece by piece. He learned that consent can exist without choice. The realm called it peace. A boy who could not walk, who would not marry, who would not dream of legacy, now ruled. Bran learned that victory could mean being used as an ending. The throne did not free him. It fixed him in place, just like the chair in Winterfell, just like the roots in the cave. He learned that stability is another word for permanence. This was the saddest victory in the Seven Kingdoms. Not because he suffered more than others, but because the world mistook his absence of want for wisdom. Bran learned that when everything is taken early, survival can look like destiny. The throne did not ask him to rule. It asked him to remain. He was wheeled into halls where voices rose and fell around him. Petitions were made, grievances aired, promises requested. Bran learned that authority did not require presence, only placement. Councils spoke for him before he spoke for himself. They filled silences with interpretation, softened pauses into approval. He learned that stillness invites others to decide what you mean. Messages arrived from every corner of the realm. Requests for justice, mercy, correction, memory. Bran learned that knowledge made him useful, not human. He looked backward when asked to look forward. His sight returned answers drawn from what had already failed. He learned that the past could be weaponized as reassurance. Men feared him quietly. They did not know when he was watching, or what he remembered about them. Bran learned that distance produces obedience faster than affection. He never spoke of desire. No air, no love, no ambition crossed his lips. He learned that emptiness could be mistaken for virtue. When disputes grew heated, he waited. Time slowed arguments. Exhaustion thinned anger. Bran learned that patience wins conflicts by outlasting them. The realm stabilized around his silence. Trade resumed, borders held, rebellions hesitated. He learned that calm leadership required the absence of urgency. Stories spread about the king who saw everything. Children whispered, lords calculated, priests adjusted their prayers. Bran learned that myth grows fastest where explanation stops. He did not correct them. Correction would require engagement, and engagement required care. He learned that detachment protected him from expectation. The past never left him. Every choice echoed with alternatives he could see but never choose. Bran learned that foresight does not grant freedom. It erases it. At night, the throne room emptied. Torches burned low, guards stood still, and the world waited. He learned that ruling meant being present even when alone. He remembered being carried. Hodor's breath, Mira's hands, the ache of being a burden. Bran learned that gratitude does not balance a debt. He remembered the door, wood splintering, fear freezing a life into a single command. He learned that protection can destroy what it saves. The crown rested lightly. It demanded no movement, no heirs, no conquest. Bran learned that a crown can be a continuation of the fall. Men praised the peace. They called the choice inspired, the outcome clean. Bran learned that suffering becomes invisible when it produces order. No one asked what it cost him. The chair hid the absence beneath ceremony. He learned that damage can be mistaken for completion. He watched the realm age. Children grew. Veterans limped. Memories softened into stories. Bran learned that time passes, even when you do not move with it. The boy who climbed towers never returned. The child who dreamed of knighthood never needed to die again. Bran learned that loss does not always announce itself as grief. This was the victory they needed. A king who would not want more than the realm could give. Bran learned that usefulness can replace joy without resistance. The Seven Kingdoms survived. They healed around a center that did not pull. Bran learned that balance can be achieved by removing weight. Nothing waited for him beyond the throne. No ending, no release, no transformation remained. He learned that survival, once complete, leaves nowhere else to go. This was the saddest victory in the Seven Kingdoms, not because it failed, but because it worked.